Hi everyone. We're still with Carolyn, and we're going to talk about service, the idea of turning from self-centeredness to other-centeredness. So, Carolyn, over to you.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me, Man. I think it's a really important part of recovery because, like I've said a few times, early recovery can be pretty rough, and we can feel quite anxious, restless, frustrated, irritable, and all those things I think are highlighted by the fact that we're just thinking about how we feel. And a good way to kind of step away from how you feel is to, reach out and help someone else. For example, helping another addict, for example. And there's just so many ways that we can do that. There's a lot of support groups. I know you were teaching yoga, right? At a
I,
rehab.
yeah, I teach yoga at the Addict Center for like years.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, well, my friends and I, we've done some visits to women's prisons and talked about, how we found recovery. And whether or not that helped anyone, it definitely gets me off myself, stops me thinking about myself. I get to, break up that person's day, give them a chance to talk to someone. That was really rewarding. And my friend and I, when we were driving there and driving back, we got to kind of get quite a close friendship as well. So yeah, I think being with other people in recovery is really important. You can, always give a friend a call, another friend in recovery or a friend who's not in recovery, and just check in with them and see how they're going. I mean, a lot of people are struggling at the moment, with the world the way it is. And if you check in with someone else, you're not focusing on how you feel. And, it can feel a bit awkward at first, but just all you have to do is hey, how are you going? I was thinking about you, and put the focus on someone else. I think it's really important.
What do you say to someone who says, "But I'm struggling. I have so much problems. Like I'm full. Like I had a shitty childhood. I lost the job. My child died. Like there's a lot. I have so much problems. I don't have the time to go."
Well, okay. Well, of course, there's times in our lives where, our well is not full and we're not in a space to help others. And, that's when we have to rest and retreat and recharge ourselves, spiritually and emotionally. And when I'm like that, I find that, if I get into nature, if I have a swim, if I have a good walk, good rest, have some good food, really basic self-nurturing things, just to, keep myself in a state where I have that capacity to be able to check in with others. But generally, you know, when we're not in a crisis, we can still, give someone 10 minutes of our time. We can always have boundaries with that. And but yeah, just checking in with others without expecting anything in return can really help us. Some kind of civic volunteering where we can go out and meet other people in the community, and often we do need to meet new people because we've been with a party crowd, a using crowd, and it's important for us to meet others who aren't into that sort of thing, just to, give ourselves a chance. So like I said, I went to the community gardens. I didn't actually do any gardening. I just sat there, took my dog along, talked to the people, and it was just brilliant. It was really nice. I met a lot of really nice people.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's good to give back.
It's also more genuine people as well, not the party and drinking crowd, tends to be like a little bit superficial, I find.
I think it also reminds us, especially if we're helping other people who are struggling, might remind us that things aren't so bad with us, and that's quite a nice feeling,
Yeah. Also, it shows you how far you have come.
Exactly. And, you can try different things. I mean, I have friends who visit old people's homes, or maybe that's not your thing. Maybe the environment's something where you volunteer with others. And I've got friends who pick up rubbish at the beach. That's their thing. And, doing that action is often just a way to meet other people, and you don't have to feel so self-conscious when you've actually got something to do.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And also, I think what happens when we do something for someone else, like charity or so on, it builds our self-esteem as well.
Oh, totally. And that's what a lot of us need, I think. When I came into recovery, my self-esteem wasn't good. And I've heard it said that, to have good self-esteem, we do esteemable things. So, good actions.
Do you feel like your self-esteem has grown over the years?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And it's like being right-sized. It's not like being really, oh, I'm so great, but it's also not putting myself down as well. So it's just being normal. Yeah, and I think in recovery, often we think, oh, when I feel better, I'll do X, but we forget that if we do X, we probably will feel better. So it's doing that action in order to feel better, not waiting till we feel better in order to do the action. So and look, sometimes I go somewhere and I just go, you know what, I'm just going to go there for an hour and then I'm going to come home. And I think, well, I can handle an hour, being around people for an hour, or it doesn't have to be like a big commitment.
Recently I met a friend of mine who's still drinking, and we're at the same age because we were schoolmates, and he was going through a really hard time, a divorce, and it's quite interesting to see the change. I think that once I stopped running away and I stopped drinking, I started to grow up. I started to learn things about life and maturing. And I saw the contrast that he was still like kind of the same.
Right.
If not worse, because all the drinking just keeps us in a very kind of childish state. It's like
it is. We reach a certain age and it's like our brain doesn't develop.
Right.
It's like I'm not a scientist or a neurologist, but I feel that I had to be in recovery for quite a while before I felt like I'd actually sort of progressed from being a 15-year-old from when I first started drinking, because I never had to change or grow up because I always relied on alcohol to kind of take care of all those difficult situations. So I never actually had to rely on extending myself or growing myself at all.
Right.